If you want to be poor, this video will not be for you. I'm Isaac Maring and I currently run a lawn maintenance business here in the state of Vermont, and I plan to go pretty big in the business world. And being that you have to go big, you have to take away limiting beliefs. You have to not hate the bigger guy, and you just have to live a more abundant life with higher standards. And today, that's what I want to talk about, because when you're poor and you have a poor mindset, I see many times, like over and over again, people are hating the guy that has a lot of money or has nice things. Whether he has a really nice car like Lambo, Ferrari, Bugatti, or he has a yacht or he has a nice house. Which those things are just material and they don't matter, but they hate on him for having those things. Or they just have a really successful business and billions of dollars worth in that business. And yet, he might not even have any material things. Maybe he lives just to provide to his business and he doesn't really care about the flashy things. And it's not a thing that he, enjoys in life as much as like the other guy who is a big car guy. He loves the house, he loves the architecture, he loves that different lifestyle. And no matter the lifestyle of what this abundant person has, they have a different mindset than you do. And they don't have your poor mindset, which is to hate on the people that are better than them and hate on the people that have accomplished, more wealthier accomplishments over time, right? So they have more money to use, they have more resources, they maybe have more power because they have more resources because they've provided more, and they have a team around them, they have people that will help them, they have people that will drive for them, they have a pilot that flies them anywhere, and they have these things that make life's efficiencies and effectiveness much greater for them to accomplish what they need to do. And many see this as too high of a standard and it shouldn't be allowed for them to have access to these things. And when you are thinking this way, that is very poor of you. Because if you are somebody that wants money, if you are somebody that wants to attract an abundant lifestyle where you have everything you want, you have accomplished everything you want, you can't hate that person that you want to become. You will never become them. And I've heard other people say sometimes you become what you hate. Uh, in this situation, I don't believe that. So I think in this mindset, you are stuck thinking that you have no control. Um, all the bigger guys are out to get you, and you can't have everything you want in your life, so they shouldn't have it as well. And it's also this standard of they just have a higher standard of living. They have a higher standard of what is normal. And for you to hate on that will make sure inevitably that you will never get to that point. Because if you never want that high standard, you will never get the results from that high standard. You'll never reap the benefits from that high standard. And if you are always sitting at a low standard, low bar for everything you do in life, you're you're going to stay where you're at. And you're going to stay wherever that bar lands. And if you are the one that is always looking up at these guys, thinking, "Oh man, they just have money. They can do whatever they want," and you're just like, "Ah, oh, I don't have anything. I can't do anything. I have no money. My job doesn't even pay anything." Everything is in your control to change whatever you want to do. And if you haven't in the past, and it's been decades in time where you've just sat in this position, you still have a choice today to make a change. And if you are going to only just hate for the rest of your life, the man that spent decades on creating the life, creating that business, creating the wealth he has, creating the resources that he has access to, you're just hating the fact that you didn't do all those things and that you are now stuck in the position you're in because you continue to hate the fact that they went after everything, that they actually took action. And uh, and when you have this sort of hate in your mind, you have this mindset that detracts towards that life, detracts towards that success. You are telling yourself and you're telling the world that you don't want that. Even though you're hating on somebody for it, you're saying to yourself and everybody else that you don't want that life. So then it begs the question, why even hate? If it's not something you want for yourself, and if somebody else is living their life in their own way, and in fact, it's not really affecting you because you are living in your own way and you're successful in your own terms. So why do you feel the need to hate on the other guy that might just have more than you? And if you are upset that you don't have as much as them, then maybe you should do some learning, learn from them, do some, work, take action within yourself, and actually, put in that dedication for years so that you can almost resemble the success they have. And then you have to understand that their bar they've set for themselves is just so much higher because over the years they just kept raising the bar. So their lowest standard, it doesn't even come close to your highest. And what that means is you have to raise your standard. If your standard right now is living in a poor mindset, if your standard right now is being that you are poor, that you have no money, which in fact, you don't have to have money to be wealthy. Now, it depends on your success. And so that goes to another video I've made before of like defining your own success. And so I won't get into that here. But it's more about if you want something, if you want to be better at something, if you want to have more resources in an area, if you want to have more control of your life, if you want to be able to do more with your life, you have to resemble and live in abundance and accept everything that's above you. You have to accept that you can get there, that you can learn from them, that somebody else was able to achieve it. So can you. Like, so can I. And if I told myself that I never wanted to become that guy because I hated him, then I'm never going to get the results that he has. And that can be 100% true. Like, you might see someone, you said, I don't ever want to be that person. And that's okay. But just don't be mad if you don't have the results they do. Because the reason they have the results they do is because of who they are and what they do. And so if you're not willing to resemble their actions, if you're not willing to, at least match it so then you can learn for yourself, you're never going to achieve the results they do or something similar. And you're never going to have more access to money if that is your constraint that you hate on. If you're mad that somebody has millions of dollars and they can do more than you because they have millions of dollars, then it's up to you to figure out how you can make millions. And in fact, it's as easy as watching what they did. And there's many out there that you can learn from. There's many out there that you can, exactly pinpoint from A to B what, got them to where they are now. And if you still struggle with, doing it on your own and trying to learn from these people from afar, get in those circles. Shake hands with these guys. Actually ask them questions. Open your mind. And that's the biggest thing here, is you're living in a closed-minded world that's limiting yourself to thinking they are different and I am different, which is okay. I mean, it could be true. Like, yeah, everybody's different. That they are lucky and I am not. Okay. But then you can always get deeper. If you're always on the surface level excuse, you're never going to learn what actions you could actually do to get where they are. Because if you actually looked, they're living and acting in a very different way than you are. And if they're living and acting in a very different way than you are, then they are going to get different results. And they are more open to the idea that they can learn more, they can grow more, they can accomplish more, that everything can be attainable to them, that they live in abundance, that they can have a certain lifestyle because they can afford it. And if you can't afford it, it means you have to put in that work to be able to afford that. It means you can't run away from the work. Because whenever you hate on the result, you're probably hating on the work that it takes to get that result. Which means you will never do that work. And it means you'll never live their life and live through that result. And so if you're ever looking at somebody that's super successful and ask yourself, and maybe you're saying, oh my gosh, they're like completely different now than they were 10 years ago. Good. They should be, because they grew, they learn. And if you look at them today versus 10 years ago, they probably have a lot more resources. And yes, I think sometimes people can use power and money in ways that might not be good. And maybe they change their beliefs in certain areas that may have not matched who they were. And yes, I think it's true that everybody at every stage can do actions that aren't aligned with themselves, that aren't true to themselves. But it only looks bigger because all of the resources that they have just enhance those decisions. So even if they're not living true to themselves, you're looking at those things and you're like, oh, see, it's the money. It's all this. It's every other excuse of why, they're not living true to themselves and living in higher value that you respect. It's not the money. They could have lived the same way when they didn't have those resources. It's just not as enhanced for you to see it. And in fact, you probably are doing the same thing. You're probably living in ways that aren't true to yourself, that are distracting you, that if you were wanting the success, but you're running away from it, obviously that's not working true to yourself and doing anything true to yourself, because if you're wanting to go a certain direction but going the opposite, you're never going to get what you want. Like it's simple as 2 + 2 = 4 sometimes, guys. It comes down to a life equation that it comes down to principles. Like over decades and centuries of time, you can just learn the basic principles, and it's the simple stuff that gets you there. It's the simple stuff, and you hear it over and over again. Whether you're watching social media, you're just scrolling, and you're consuming all these different lessons and advice. They all boil down to the simple principles. And yes, there's different niches and different learnings in different areas that you can stack on top of it, and different skills to stack on top of it. But it comes down to that foundation. If you don't have those foundation principles, you won't be able to build at all. You won't be able to stack anything on top. And so the first is, you need to open up your mind that it is possible to be living the way they are. That it is possible for you to also have the resources they have. If you never think it's possible to do that, you will never have it. Because every opportunity that comes your way that gives you the opportunity and a possibility of that lifestyle, you're going to turn it away because you don't think you can live that way. And maybe you don't want to. And that's okay. But live throughout your way. And if you're upset about the way somebody else is living, you're distracting your own self from your life, which you could make so much better. And if you're upset about somebody else's accomplishments and what they can do, I would ask yourself, is that something you want in your life? Is that why you're upset? Are you like a little bit jealous, envious? Are you wanting what they have? Are you wanting to be like similar to who they are? If not, then you should reflect back on yourself and say, well, that's not even what I want, so it doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to live in my own way. It doesn't affect you. And then it reroutes your mind to be more open to the things that you actually want, so that you can live true to yourself. And I just wanted to speak on this so much because I see it everywhere. I mean, of course, on social media, it's big, right? You have these people that I've even watched for, from when they started. And they had basically nothing. They were just working with what they had to create something more of themselves. And then now people see them and they're just trash talking him. They're just trash talking her. Like they're just throwing hate on the fact that they are living a lifestyle that is different from where they started. They're hating the fact that they grew. They're hating the fact that their standard is now higher from where they were. They're hating the fact that they can just do more with their life when once they couldn't do as much. Because in the beginning, it was cooler because everybody could relate to it and everybody could have the same low standard and feel okay with it because somebody else has also the low standard. But when somebody raises that standard and they want to do more with their life, all the people that aren't raising their standard tend to be the ones that try to pull you down and say you shouldn't go that way. You shouldn't have a higher standard. You shouldn't think that's normal. You should think being broke is normal. You should think not having any resources or any way of living within, you should think that you shouldn't have any goals is normal. You should think that it's normal to not do anything with your life. It's normal to not actually pursue your true self and build something great that you want to build. And it doesn't have to be business. It doesn't, I started this off with, if you want to be poor, this isn't for you, because it's more than just money. It's a poor mindset, because it just means you won't accomplish anything that you want to. And so the more you hate and the more you throw shade at the idea of success, why would success want you? Think about it. If you were rude, disrespectful, and just hated on somebody and always talked trash and just didn't ever accept them into your life and never wanted to praise them and wanted to feel abundant around them, do you think they would want to be around you? No. You're always pushing them away. So you have to change the, if you're even doing that with people that you'd want around you, you got to change that for one, because then your relationships would become so much better. But you have to change the relationship on how you see money, how you see success and abundance. Because the more you push it away, the more you speak out loud about pushing it away and seeing how far away from you are, or seeing how far away success is from you, just keeps pushing it down. Just makes it that much harder. Because every decision you will make sure that you don't get there. Every decision you make will make sure that you don't live in the way that you want to feel is normalized for yourself. Because anything that you might see as flashy and great and big can be normal for you. It can become your day-to-day. And then in fact, those, the flashy things like the material stuff may not even be like your focus. You just have them. You have access to them. And I'm not saying those are the end-all be-all things. That's not even close to what I would be saying. Those things are just your standard. Just like if you started off driving a Corolla and that was your standard, like, of course you have a Corolla. Anybody can get a Corolla. Why can't you and anybody get a Ferrari? Why can't you and anybody get a Bugatti? Why can't you and anybody own a jet? If those are your standards, anything lower than that, like if you didn't have a Corolla and you had to walk, you'd probably be working your ass off to try to get a car, like if you didn't have a car. Because the world and society says it's a pretty well-known standard that you need a car or some way of traveling, right? So you'd probably be pinching pennies and you'd probably be going in debt to just live that life of having that car and access to a car. Because you know that it's a standard of your life, that you need it. So it's just fine-tuning and raising that standard of like the luxuries. If that's what you hate on. If you hate on the fact that somebody else can have it. Is it because you want it? If so, stop hating on it and accept that it could come into your life. That you can also have that standard. That you can live in abundance like they are. That you can also build something great and big that provides value to others, that provides value to yourself and your family and those around you. And you start surrounding yourself with these abundant thinkers, and you start surrounding yourself with people that don't hate the idea of having money. Because if you hate the idea of having money, then you'll never have it. And if you don't want it, that's okay. So raise that standard, for one. Open up your eyes. Understand that it's possible. Live in that abundance. And then third, I would say an action step would be really think about it to yourself. Take a second. Take like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Maybe do this on a daily to think about what you want. Visualize it every day. Put yourself in those shoes today like you already have it. You already have the things that you want in 5 years. You already have the things that you want in 10 years. You're already living with the life that you want. And I'm not saying this life is just going to be the easiest thing. I'm saying that you have access and resources to all these things so that you can be driving and working in the areas you want to be. That you can be building and going through all the challenges that you want in your life. Because that's what it comes down to. So you can have all these other things that make it look glamorous, but then it sets you up for a position so that you can work on the challenges you want. You can work where you want, when you want, how you want. And you can have fun. You can play. You can go wherever. But the challenges are going to be different than ones you're living today. So think about all those, envision them, and then pretend like you're already living in that way because you've already accomplished it. Because you're so open to the idea that you can have it. It's just there. Make yourself become the person that attracts it all. If you're never attracting the thing, it's never going to come to you. You're going to be living this never-ending battle of just fighting it. But you have to become better. You have to be open to the idea. You have to work like you already have it. You have to work like it is possible. You have to work like it's coming right to you. It's just one step after the other. You're getting there. Just like climbing a mountain. You know you can get to the top. Nobody questions the fact that you can't get to the top. Maybe, climbing Mount Everest is like, a deathly experience. But people have gotten to the top. Don't question if you can climb and get to that top. And don't be mad for the ones that already did. Because if you're just mad and just stay there and never take another step and think that they were lucky and somehow they got to the top way easier than you and they were just better, they were born better. They just can do it easily. Which is never true. You can also do it. Just one foot after the other. Just get to the top. It's possible. You know it is. Go do it.